No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You ready, Mike?
Yep.
Kristie, you ready?
Ready.
Here we go.
And now for something special. The unit is self-contained with its own saddler, farrier, wheelwright and so on. It's a rigorous training, dished out who know all there is to know about horses, and it brings results.
We take you behind the scenes now to show just some of the interesting aspects of this training.
Welcome to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine, the #1 award-winning podcast to create sound of horses from the ground up. Mike Stine is a registered journeyman farrier with an APF 1 accreditation. On this week's show, live in the studio, we have Kristie Shupe, a DVM and also a balloon killer. So we're going to talk to her about shooting guns and also about the lameness and everything about horses as well. And over to my far right side is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis. How are you?
I'm doing well. So, you got a story for me because you were talking the other day, and you got a story for me, a little barn talk. And we normally don't do barn talk here, but this story that you told me, Mike, was pretty interesting as far as barn talk. So tell me the story that you have that I just chuckled about.
I was doing my normal working at one of my regular stops, and a fella came rolling into the driveway, had a little older S10 pickup, and it wasn't Bert. And he comes walking up, and he's real energetic, and hey, how are you doing, and all this sort of stuff, right? You need a helper. I'm like, I do? Said, yes, you need a helper. I can go to work as your helper.
Now, when you say helper doing what? Unloading the truck and stuff like that, or just helping you physically with the horses?
I don't know. But he said, I used to do carpentry work a long time ago, so I can drive nails.
Okay.
It's all right.
Is he going to build a shed for you?
Maybe. I don't know if he can drive nails in a moving target, because I can't drive one that's sitting still. He said, I'll only charge you $3,000. Only?
Oh, man. Only $3,000.
Like, a month? He said, no, a week.
For what, Mike?
I don't know, but if a helper can make $3,000 a week, I'm going to quit being a farrier, and I'm going to become a helper.
Sure, why not?
Because, I'd be picking up all the material expenses and all that sort of stuff, right?
The regular farrier would, yes.
Right, yeah. Right. And I said, well, where do you get that? He says, well, you probably make $3,000 a day. And I'm like, really?
He's reading too much stuff online, I think. I think he's looking in like Ocala, that area where they've got horses galore, and a lot of the Olympic horses have come out of the Ocala area.
Right.
And they're thinking that the horses that you're working on now, some horses that you have are somewhat valuable, and I say somewhat valuable.
Somewhat, yeah.
5, 6 digits easy on some of these horses. I think you got a 7-digit horse out there somewhere. I think that's my horse.
Probably is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to cost you that much time it's over with.
So this guy came off the street. Did he look homeless, or he just looked like...
No. He didn't look homeless or anything. I'm going to guess he was about mid-50s or so.
Okay, so he's middle-aged, and he's a carpenter, and he says...
He has been. He's not one now, but he has been.
And he says that he can be your helper to just, drive in nails in the horse's feet?
I guess.
Is that all he thinks it is?
I don't know.
I would have ran a test on him and said, all right, buddy. What side is the front of the horse and what side is the back of the horse?
Well, yeah, exactly. But he left me his phone number, told me, think about it. I said, I'd be really good help. It wouldn't take much for me to be able to do this.
It's amazing. Now, Mike, I'm not going to get into your financials and stuff, but this guy has the audacity to come up and assume that you make easily $3,000 a week, and he wants you to turn that over to him. That doesn't make any sense. That's bad business right there.
That's why I say I'm going to quit being a helper, or quit and become a helper at $3,000 a week, and the insurance, the materials, truck, running up and down the highway, the whole bit. The farrier I work for will take care of that, and I'll just get $3,000 a week.
So what does the farrier make after he pays for the materials and the running up and down the road every week and paying this guy $3,000? How much would you physically walk away?
Well, I'd walk away with $3,000 a week, and the farrier would have to second mortgage his house so he could continue to pay me.
Well, okay, I see what you're saying. So, not for nothing, Mike. What if you do have some more work you need done on the house? You should have thrown him that angle. Hey, I won't pay you $3,000 a week. What I'll do is I'll pay you $250 to fix the deck that's overhanging my shed over there.
Well, that takes $250.
which you can do yourself. Mike, you don't have time to do all that stuff.
No.
Yeah, I asked you when you came in this morning, you're like, I said, what have you been doing all this week? You're like, well, I had to work on horses, and then I was out at my property till 7:30 at night working on stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
So, I mean, I don't know where this guy, and
his math's different than mine. I can't quite figure that one.
So let's say $3,000 a week.
It's like, oh no, you could pay me that.
You could. So $3,000 a week. How many hours is that? How many hours at what? Let's say it's how many hours a week do you work, Mike? Roughly on average. How many
traveling
hours?
and everything?
Yeah.
I'm probably running close to 70 hours a week.
So let's see. 3,000. I'm doing the old math calculator here. 3,000 divided by 70. So he wants to make at least $42. Let's say $43 to round it up an hour. When what about 25% of that is ride time?
Yeah.
So, no, I'm sorry, bud. You're going to have to go down there's a chicken house right down the road there. I'm sure you can go work down there as well. So you got his number and that was it, huh?
Yeah, I think I'm going to hire him.
Are you?
Yeah.
Make him do all the work and you're going to reap all the benefits?
I don't know. I don't think I'll hire him.
No, you're going to lose a bunch of people if you do that. Everyone loves you, Mike. All right, guys, speaking of loving everyone, when we come back, we've got a special guest here in the studio, and we love having special guests here in the studio. We have Kristie Shupe. She's a DVM and also a balloon killer, and we'll dive into her story when we come back. And if you're not watching us on YouTube right now, now's a chance to go over there and search for us. That's Equine Dynamics on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe over there, and you can see all the stuff that goes on here in the studio, all the videos, and all the live guests that we have on there. So go over there right now. Stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics. We'll be right back. And then we can just organically get questions.
And veterinary school and all that.
Yeah.
And how long I've known Mike? Gosh.
It's been a couple of years.
It's been 18 years.
Probably, yeah.
And then he does my own horses as well. So my competition horse. But, right.
Yeah, go ahead.
David, is that right? Your
Travis.
name. Travis. Okay. I was
Just
like,
like
wait a minute.
You can call him David. He gets called a lot of other things.
Trevor. All that
Hey,
stuff.
you.
Yeah, you. Guy over there. Weirdo.
That's my kids. Hey,
Yeah.
you.
Hey, you. Out there in the old Mississippi. See? Dinner and a show. Mm-hmm. All right, you ready?
Yep.
You got your cans?
I have cans.
All right, ready? Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine, brought to you by Equine One. Protect, prevent, and maintain with 100% natural ingredients. You can get the natural hoof dressing and also the natural hoof mender putty over at equine.one with 10% off with the keyword podcast. That's equine.one for all your hoof care needs. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
And over to my far right side is Mike Stine.
How are you?
I'm doing well. And joining us here in the studio, we have Kristie Shupe, a DVM, a doctor of veterinary medicine, joining us here in the studio. Thank you for joining us, Kristie. How are you?
I am great. Thanks for having me on.
You look good over there. You look like a natural sitting over there in that big old soft, comfy chair. Is it comfy enough for you?
It is.
It's kind of big. I know it's oversized. It's like Blue's Clues chair when he sits in that big chair there and he's all stretched out and stuff. So, Kristie, we had your husband on a couple seasons ago, and just to recap, your husband works for Purina, right? But on the equine side of Purina,
Yes.
he's a nutritionist for Purina. And you are a doctor of veterinary medicine, so you've got a household full of just horse equine mojo in the house at all times.
we actually met on one of the Purina How meetings, actually.
Did you really?
Yes.
Was it love at
Yes.
first sight?
It was. It absolutely was.
Well, that's good to
Yes.
hear. That's good to hear.
Purina and Jesus changed my life.
Well,
there
good.
you go.
Well, very good. So, I already asked Eric how he got involved with horses and whatnot. I always ask the guests because it always amazes me. You know, my wife has she rides horses. She rides dressage. She's been doing it since she was a little child. Her mom did it before her, and she took the quote unquote the reins over from her when she couldn't ride anymore. So now my wife rides, and she's been riding her whole entire life. What made you get into? Because you ride horses, I'm assuming. Well, you do, because we're going to get into your balloon killing skills here in a little bit. But what made you get into being going for the equine medicine part, the doctor of veterinary medicine? Now, do you work on dogs, or do you work on all animals, small animals, or just large animals?
So just do large animals. Yep. Gave up the small animal medicine a long time ago.
You know, it's funny that you say that. I hear a lot of people that do horses don't do the small animals anymore. They strictly are more focused on the horses and the larger animals. And why do you think that is? Why do they think that you go from small and eliminating that to the large animals?
Well, veterinary medicine has gotten specialized just like human medicine is. And there is so much to it. Just keeping up with the continuing education to make sure you're current. And 50 years ago, it was the country doctor, right, that did everything. Small animal clinic.
Gave the flu shot to the kid.
Right.
Did the horse's feet and, gave the dog something so it doesn't puke on the carpet.
Right, exactly. I mean, and you think about all creatures great and small. And so, but it has definitely changed in that regard, and so it itself has gotten so specialized. And for me, I just had a passion for horses. I loved the horse, and then loved science, and I loved being outdoors and just going to different places. It's all about also relationships you form with people, being able to just see something new every day, and so. Veterinary medicine, love for animals, obviously. I mean, most veterinarians are going to get into veterinary medicine, the generic answer, the love for animals. But
now, at what age did you decide, or that bug bit you? Was it like in your 6th or 7th grade, or?
No, it was like, I don't know. I went to I remember going to the library with my mom one day, and I was probably 5 or 6.
Oh, really? That young? Wow.
Yes. Yeah. And I just remember, I like that. And then always loved the horse, wanted to ride, had the horse bug, since I was, my mom says from the womb, So when my dad was assistant principal at a high school, and, we didn't have horses at that particular time, but they did the donkey basketball. And if anybody ever remembers that.
No, I was born in Orlando, Florida. The donkey basketball is something totally different.
Yeah, well, you should Google it. But they would take those donkeys, and he would let me go by there and see them, and he sat me on one of the ones. But if you ever get a chance, it's a great thing to watch the donkey basketball.
Now, is it people sitting on donkeys playing basketball?
Yeah, absolutely, in the gym.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the donkeys are very cooperative.
I'm sure they are. Do they slide around? I mean, I would think the parquet floor with the hoofs on them, or do they have special shoes on them, like rubber feet or something?
It's been such a long time ago now. I think they're just on that gym floor, and then they have to go in there and they would clean it up. I don't know if they even allow that anymore, but
I bet they don't.
They probably don't, but yeah, that's like the first time I remember actually going to see something of the Equine family, let's say. So
being in that you've been a practice, how long have you been doing your practice now?
So I was, 2005.
Okay.
So is when I graduated veterinary school, and but before that, trying to get into veterinary school, all those kids are going out riding with veterinarians. So you've been in it for longer than that. Once I got to undergraduate at NC State, I was trying to ride with a veterinarian there up in Raleigh. So just to get experience for school. So
now. What are you seeing more now in, currently as far as, are you seeing Lyme disease? Are you seeing, laminitis more in your experience in your field, in your area that you're working in?
Yes. So, Mike and I were actually having a conversation about laminitis in general, and that's something that, we see a lot of. And sort of an overview of laminitis. Horses can have laminitis from various different reasons. There can be different causes of it. It's a complex topic that you could spend hours upon hours on what causes it and why. But the relationship with the farrier and the veterinarian is incredibly important. But I would say in my practice, and then here, where Mike and I work together, the laminitis associated with the endocrine problems, sort of the subclinical state, is something we see a lot of, that particular type of laminitis.
Yeah, it's kind of tough getting people to accept that's what's going on.
Correct.
Now, when you say subclinical laminitis, what do you mean by that?
Well, see, we have a lot of horses that have, like, again, in our particular practice area, so it could vary depending upon where you're practicing and what type of horses that you're seeing. But we have a lot of horses that are what we would say insulin resistant, fat, under overfed and underworked. Let's say. Not everybody, but there's a lot of horses that way.
I think you described me.
And I don't think people see it as laminitis until the horses hit the ground.
Yeah, yes, and you'll see a lot of these horses, your classic little fat pony that's sitting out there on grass, and the owner will come in and say, no, it was a little bit sore, walking just a little gingerly, and then it's better,
Gets lazy in the spring, doesn't want to go very fast, or in the fall.
Doesn't want to go real fast, and
what about those people that say, people say, hey, your horse is getting big, and then the rider goes, well, the horse is fine when I put a saddle on it. And, the horse rides out there and does very well. I mean, what is your response to when someone says that about their horse sitting, hey, he rides or she rides fine when I got a saddle on him, but, everyone's saying, no, your horse is getting larger, it's getting bigger.
You need to ride it more.
That's right, yeah.
Ride it more or feed it less, right?
Yes,
exactly. That's like with some of those subclinical cases. I see horses when we're trimming them that lamini's not necessarily stretched out, but you see some serum type stuff coming down the lamini.
Right.
And if you take X-rays, they're not necessarily rotated. So, he's not rotated. He's not.
Right.
But they may have been having some laminitic flare-ups.
Right. And a lot of times, people don't understand that when you have laminitis, you don't necessarily, a lot of people think of rotation, so the bone actually rotating or sinking. That's where the term founder comes from. But in these horses that have these endocrine disorders where they're too fat or they have Cushing's disease or insulin resistance, a lot of times those lamina just get a little bit stretched. And a little bit stretched, and it's a slow breakdown versus what you might see with a really sick horse, like a mare that's had a retained placenta where she's sick, she's running a fever, and then they can get laminitis from that, but it's usually a very acute episode.
Right.
These are more just a slow sort of a breakdown.
All right, guys.
Lamina.
I'm sorry. Of the lamini? Mm-hmm. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick little break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about lameness and how it relates to the Western performance, particularly about mounted shooting, and we'll dive into what that is as well. So stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back.
Is it okay?
Yeah, you're perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. You got it. We're out of control, but you're perfect.
Yeah, you're good. Perfectly. Now you got the first segment out of the way. All the butterflies are gone. You're good to go.
We didn't get to show our leg.
Oh, no.
Oh, well.
Oh, Mike.
Sorry.
That's okay. No.
I apologize. I was not aware.
I
would have set it up. I would have. Next time I will. I promise.
You want to go into the differences just in the, one of the biggest things we see is
shoeing differences between English and Western.
Well, the Western versus the other thing that you do a lot of is the eventing horses.
The event horses.
Yeah, the biggest different foot is a total different foot. Yeah.
Totally different foot. Totally different way the horse is working.
Right.
Ground forces are totally different.
Okay,
Yeah,
save it.
yeah.
Save it. You ready? Get your cans up. I gotta keep Mike on track, or he'll just keep talking.
It's tough.
I know. Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine, brought to you by Equine One. You can put this stuff on in summertime, wintertime, rain, sleet, sludge, mud, freezing cold temperatures. That's the, let me switch cameras here so I can see myself as well. That is the natural hoof dressing and
We don't want to see you.
and the natural hoof mender putty. Get yours right now. Go to equine.one. That's equine.one and get 10% off your whole entire order with the keyword podcast, or you can also put in Equine Dynamics for 10% off your order. Go to equine.one. Thank you, Mike, for all your hoof care needs. And over to my far right side is Mike Stine. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. And joining us right here in the studio is Kristie Shupe a doctor of veterinary medicine and also a balloon killer, and we'll dive into her story as far as why she's killing balloons and why she hates those balloons so much.
Evil balloons.
But we're going to talk right now, and don't forget, for every podcast we have a matching video over on YouTube, so all the stuff that you hear on your podcatchers, your iTunes, your Spotify, your iTunes, your iHeartRadio, and all them, if you're listening to us and you want to see what's going on here in the studio, we also have a YouTube channel as well. Go to YouTube, search Equine Dynamics Mike Stine. Make sure you give him a subscribe over there. Mike's got all these, he's got every podcast, the full-length podcast videos over there, and he also has these little snippets, little snack-sized pieces, little 1-minute clips, so if you don't want to sit there, you don't have enough time to listen to the whole or watch the whole entire video, and you just want a couple of videos to get, as you're waiting for the mail guy to get here, I don't know, something like that. You're waiting for the microwave to pop your popcorn. You can pop a couple of these videos on, and you can watch them real quick, 1-minute videos over there on the YouTube channel as well. And so right now we're going to talk about, did I introduce you, Kristie? I did.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just want to make sure. I get caught up in my spiel here and I forget. So right now we're going to talk about lameness as it relates to the Western performance, particular mounted shooting, and also the difference between shoeing Western and also shooting English or shoeing English horses. And so I'm going to refer this to Mike. So Mike, what is the difference between shoeing those horses? And Kristie, feel free to jump in at any time.
All right.
Well, with the Western horses, with what Kristie is doing, the demands on the back end of the horse are different. With barrel horses, when they're coming into a barrel and they're shutting down speed real quick, that's something that you're not seeing with the English horses. And of course, the ground surfaces have made so much difference in how we handle them. And years ago, you didn't worry about putting traction on the back of the Western horses, but now sometimes you really got to watch it because the surfaces used to be you're always in sand. Sand would slide. Some of the surfaces you're on now do not slide, so we got to create a little slide so we're not beating up the joints so bad when they're decelerating quickly.
I was watching with my wife this past weekend the cross country.
Right.
Was on the Olympics, and it was like 10:30 on Saturday morning, and we were sitting there having coffee and stuff, and we were watching it, and we saw a lot of people from Brazil and the Netherlands, and we saw someone from the United States, and the horse did a refusal on the, just when they don't go over the jump or whatever, and I just thought it was just regular jumps. I didn't realize that there's like uphill jumps, like they jump
uphill, there's downhill jumps,
and over wide jumps, angled jumps, left jumps, jumping in water, over a jump onto another water. It was amazing. And how do you shoot for something like that?
Very careful.
I'm sure you do. Because I'm sitting there watching, I'm like going, why are these horses slipping and sliding? And I'm thinking of all the past shows that we've been doing here on Equine Dynamics, and I still sit there and I'm amazed at these.
That's the reason they came up with this blow up vest.
Oh, the airbags?
Yeah, that way you when you land in the water, you float.
So, Kristie, you ride Western.
Yes.
Okay, and so how is shoeing that horse important for you as far as now? Do you ride English at all?
I have ridden English many years ago. My daughters do. They're into the jumping thing, so they're riding English. But no, I kind of grew up doing more Western, and then over the last 5, 6, 7 years, found out about the mounted shooting sport and got interested in that. But I think when you look at the foot of the quarter horse, which is what most of your mounted shooters or quarter horse types, so paints, Appaloosas, so the quarter horse type horse versus your eventing, which is the big warm blood that has just the size of the shoe and the foot is totally different.
Very different, yeah.
I mean,
so when you say you're worried about lameness, when shooting a horse, what are you worried about as far as lameness?
So foot, for the quarter horses, the front feet, you always have to be worried about the navicular apparatus,
right?
And so those horses tend to have the long toe, underrun heel type of a conformation that predisposes the navicular apparatus to disease. You also a lot of times have a horse that's really look like a bodybuilder, are big, and then they got the teeny tiny little feet.
I'm always amazed by that too.
And so, the quarter horses, unfortunately, are prone to having the navicular problems. They can have sole depth problems, those type of things, but foot problems are big time there.
They are, and one thing difference is like with your quarter horses that are performing hard. In the length of this room, they're taking off the line. By the time they hit that wall, they're 35 miles an hour, and then that far out, they're shutting it down.
Right.
And that's very different stresses than what you would deal with a dressage horse or even a show jumper. And they do a lot of when they roll into a turn, it's quick and it's hard, and so that's kind of a different deal. Now, with the dressage horse, we do have to deal with lateral movement and some of the stuff you do in similar ways. On a jumping horse, you when they land, you're dealing with that impact and catching the tendons, the fetlock dropping hard, and how to support that, and then lifting on takeoff. But one thing that is really, like I said, has really changed is like on barrel horses. I know that
now when you say barrel horse, you're talking about the horses that run around the barrels.
Yeah, and you'd think those horses. I mean, barrels aren't that fast.
No, they're not. But especially when there's a clown in it.
That fast, right? But when they come in on that barrel and they're going to shut it down and make that hard turn, I always tell people, if a horse bounces in the back end when you're looking at a barrel horse, you probably want to stay away from that one because he's probably going to be prone to hock problems. On the horse that's bouncing in the back end, you're going to have to do something to take away traction because you want his back end to glide up under him.
I had a high school friend of mine that has her daughters ride barrel, all the time. They're showing all the videos and stuff. Those horses literally are almost laying down like you see the motorcycle guys hit the corners. Those horses are almost laying down at that exact angle to get around these horses. I don't understand how they maintain and get right back up.
Well, they do.
They do. I know they do.
And, with their shooting horses, they'll lay over pretty hard sometimes, too. With a dressage horse, they keep them upright and bend.
Right.
So I'm gonna show right now. I don't know if Kristie knows that I have this. I have a video of her.
Oh, yes, so, I sent it.
So if you want to see this video, this is Kristie, and she is running around on a horse and making the returns and everything and shooting balloons. And what is the actual sport called? Is it called mounted?
Cowboy Mounted Shooting.
Cowboy Mounted Shooting. All right, I'm gonna switch to camera 6 here. Oh, a little behind the scenes there. I'm gonna switch to camera 6 here. I'm gonna play this video, and you can see this on real time if you're over the YouTube video, or if not, you can go there and watch it later. So here she is. Now it's taken from a cell phone. It was a cell phone video compressed and stuff. So it's a little blurry, but you'll get the idea. So here we go with Kristie Shupe, and she is Cowboy Mounted Shooting. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right, here she goes. Look at her. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I missed one. 5-second penalty.
She comes back around, long stretch. Lost her hat. So, there you go. That is Cowboy Mounted Shooting. Let me switch back to camera.
And you also have to have a horse that's deaf.
So we're going to take a quick little break. I don't want to come back and talk about that because you brought the actual pistols and things that you use for that. So I want to dive into that a little bit more because I find that so fascinating. I have so many questions. So stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back.
On the internal.
So when you do that, you see yourself on the camera here?
Yes.
So you're going to have to play towards that camera that's over your left shoulder.
Right here.
Yep.
Okay.
And when you show all your stuff, you can do all that too as well.
Yep.
Yeah, nothing happens as planned when we're here.
Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine, brought to you by Equine 100% natural, no petroleum products, farrier recommended, and also veterinary health product equated as well. Go to equine.1 for all your hoof care needs. You can get your natural hoof dressing and also natural hoof mender putty and get 10% off your whole entire order with the keyword podcast. And also you can get 10% off with keyword dynamics. One or the other. You don't get 20% off altogether. You get 10 off one or 10 off the other.
Right.
And Mike, you've been using this out on the field here, and
yes,
we've had some rainy weather out there, and you've been putting it on rainy day shoes and then sunny dry shoes.
Yeah, and I've got some really shelly-walled horses that the hoof is growing down and starting to look good. So it is helping.
Well, very good. So get yours right now. Go to equine.one. Get 10% off your order with the keyword podcast. And over to my far inside, it's Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis. How are you? And how are you, Kristie?
And
I'm doing great.
And joining us here in the studio is Dr. of Veterinary Medicine, Kristie Shupe, and also certified balloon killer. Now, she has just recently, and I say recently, over her span of career of being in the Doctor of Veterinary Medicine and stuff, you just recently started doing the Cowboy Mounted Shooting.
Yes.
And you've been doing it for 5-6 years now. Is that correct?
Let's see, 2019, I think.
Let's say 5 years.
Yeah, 4 to 5. Yeah,
4 to 5 years still. So you're still a novice at this, but
yes.
the video we just showed on the last break is it looks like you've been doing it for years. Outside, you missed the one balloon, but that's okay. I'm not
I'll take a penalty.
I miss all the balloons. So the question that I have: live rounds?
No,
not live rounds. What rounds are you using?
It's a blank. They're 45s, but they're blank. It's a blank. And so you buy them. There are different companies that will make them, but they're all blank. So it's just a little bit of powder in that bullet, and the powder, when you're 10 feet, 12 feet away from the balloon, is what pops it.
Is that, I don't know if you might not know this question. There was a movie out called The Crow. The Crow with the son of Bruce Lee, Brandon Lee.
Right, where he got
shot, but they used a blank with him as well, but it actually pierced his heart, I believe, from my understanding of the whole scenario back then. But they didn't have, the modern technology that we have now. But from my understanding, they shot him with a blank, and it killed him.
Ooh. Yeah, no. So when you go into this type of a competition, there's a load zone. So once you go into the load zone, you cannot leave that load zone. Okay. They will provide the ammunition. So you cannot use your own ammunition. So they provide it from whichever vendor that they have, there's certain vendors out there that do cowboy mounted, shooting those blanks. And you load, and then you're allowed to go in and you do your run. Once you get done with that run, you have to unload, and there's somebody sitting there that unloads that your gun, or you can do it, or they do it, hand it to them, and then because they're trying to get people through. But that's kind of sort of the safety. So once and there are pretty strict penalties if you were to go out with a round in there. You'll get penalties pretty good.
I would think you hear all this stuff on the news and everything about Alec Baldwin and there was a live round and the armor. There shouldn't have been any live rounds on the set or anything like that. So we know what's going on there, and I don't want to drag that horse. Sure. I don't want to drive that horse through the mud. But I mean, there's just on this level alone, it's not a movie or anything, but still you're dealing with fire or bullets or guns or things that shoot.
And you've got an audience around the arena.
A tightly packed audience, and you're firing in all different directions. And so the question that I have, and I'm not a gun person. I understand guns. I bear arms all you want. If you do everything legally, you do everything correct, there's rules put in place. By all means, have all the weapons you want. I could care less. I do have weapons here, but I'm not out there shooting them all the time. Why can't we just use darts at the balloons? Can we just throw darts at them? Can't you just run by with a little dart, a little blowgun or something? I mean, does it have to be a gun?
That could be a new sport.
Yeah.
Well, now,
on donkeys, Mike, we could do donkeys, dart shooting balloons.
That would be interesting.
That's another $1 million idea, Mike.
There is mounted there is a mounted archery.
Right.
Is that the one where they actually stand on the back of the horse, or is that more for show than anything?
That would be more for show. I have done a little fun mounted archery class.
Where you stand on the saddle?
No, I was sitting. I was sitting. Used the shooting horse to kind of sort of do that too. That's just as hard as the mounted shooting part.
So do you know the history behind why this became a sport? I know.
So it started. I don't know all of it, but I can tell you it started, I think, in like the mid '90s. And I guess somebody decided, hey, we want to go out there. This is pretty cool to be able to run fast and shoot balloons, and you're using, so the pistol that you're using.
Now, you brought your pistols with you.
Yes, I did.
So, and I want to see it.
Here's the, so this is
got the whole belt and everything.
Can they see that?
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
Here's the rig, and these are unloaded. I checked. So here is the...
Get it out of there. There you go.
So it's a single action. So this is a single action revolver. Okay.
And what kind of gun is that?
It's a 45.
Who makes it?
It's a Ruger.
Okay, Ruger. Okay, Ruger 45.
Yeah.
Now, is that a common gun?
Yes. There's Cimarron, but a lot of folks use the Ruger. Some of them will use the Ruger Montados. Some of them will use this is a Ruger Vaquero.
Now, with the 40, I would think pulling that gun out and shooting at the balloons outside of
it's heavy. This thing is really heavy.
That's where I was going. Why when you have like a snub 38 snub barrel or a long barrel or some? Why is that? Or can anyone use any type of gun?
No, you do have to specifically use what they would be using in the 1800s.
Okay, so
it has to be right, and there's a specific dress. So you have to have cowboy hat. You have to have your chinks on. Now, ladies can wear dresses. So you can do like the dresses from the old West. So
Little House on the Prairie type.
Yeah, you can do that. So you will see some women come in there with dress like that. There is a cavalry class, so they'll have the actual cavalry saddle from like what they would have done in the the late 1800s. But yeah, so you specifically have to use these type of a single action revolver, which means you have to cock it here, and I can show that.
Yep.
Can you see that?
Right there in front of the camera. There you go.
Right.
Perfect.
And
Yep.
I'm pointing way away.
Yeah.
But you're gonna have to, and this gun is not loaded, so you're gonna have to cock that like that. And then shoot.
Every time.
Every time.
So that's called a single action.
That is a single action. This is a single action revolver. Yeah. And when you buy these guns, they'll have an action job. You have to send it to
pass one over here. I want to feel how heavy that thing is.
Yeah.
Pass it around, Mike. Don't get lost over there. And you can see all these shenanigans behind the scenes here if you go over to YouTube and watch this video. Holy mackerel. That is a heavy, look at that. That is a heavy, that weighs probably... How many pounds does that weigh, or ounces?
I don't know. It's heavy when you have to get on the horse. My horse is 15.3, and I have to have a step set because I can't. When you have all that gear on, you can't move your.
Because you're carrying your gun belt,
yes.
2 guns.
Yes, you cannot move your torso like you normally would when you have because there's a couple of different types of rigs that you can wear. And I can put this on right quick if you want to see what it looks like.
We sure do. Okay. Of course we do.
Okay. So let me get it.
Here. Go over there and help her, Mike. Be a gentleman. Take your headphones off and help her.
Yeah. This thing, they're heavy. They're super heavy. This is one of the shoulder rigs, and you can have ones that just go around your waist. But this one, this is going to go like this.
I was going to ask, is it around your waist or is it in the saddle? But no, this is like right on your chest.
Yeah, there are saddle mounts there. I have to get it on.
There you go.
But yeah, it's a...
You're strapped in several different directions.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to come out of the studio and the neighbors are going to be like, what are they doing in that place up there?
And you have to have it pretty tight. I mean, you have to have it really actually pretty tight. And then you think you don't need this little one here, but when you're pulling that gun...
That keeps it from flipping out.
Yes, it keeps it from... And I'm not putting it as tight, because usually it's so tight I'll breathe for a minute or two here, because you don't want it moving. So you're sitting here like this. I don't know, can that...
I can see you right there. Yeah, I got you on this camera right here.
All right, so...
Here she goes. Draw.
When you're doing, no, seriously, when you're doing, you gotta draw like that.
Okay.
And then you gotta holster this gun, and pull your second.
So is it 6 rounds per gun?
5.
5 rounds per gun. Okay.
10 balloons.
10 balloons.
Yep.
And so you got to fire all 10 rounds and not miss a single one.
Do they?
So that's
You load an open cylinder, right, or an open chamber?
Yeah, you'll leave your first one in here because that's your safety.
Right.
Yeah. And so if you can imagine you're doing this on the horse, you got your reins here, and you're pulling this way.
Yeah.
You gotta holster that without looking. You don't need to look, because then you drop your line of sight here, slow you down.
I have enough problems just getting the horses to come down so I can feed them.
Well, if you had one of those, maybe they would. Well, they might.
Yeah, no, you can do. Some people have them that just sit here. You'll see them.
Right.
They're just sitting here.
They got shorter arms or longer arms or something.
If you want to feel how heavy that is, when you're actually...
Good thing I gave her the long headphones.
Right.
That's time you strap it on, that's a decent tool belt.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's...
There you go. Holy mackerel! Oh, I got. Oh, geez. No.
There's a little weight there.
No, that is definitely like a construction guy's tool belt. That's how much that thing weighs.
Yeah.
That is amazing. That is amazing. Now, are you ranked or are you?
No, I just do this for fun. Between having children and veterinary medicine and veterinary medicine, I don't. This is just for fun. It's something to. I want to be a better rider and just learning all those different kinds of things and it's fun. Let's just face it, it's fun to go riding on a horse and shoot balloons.
Well, it was fun watching you just put all that stuff on. I got excited. I was like, wow.
And you have to spend some time with the horse.
Yes.
To get them where they're okay with that.
Yes.
Yeah. And I don't know if you listened to the actual beginning of the podcast. That is an actual snippet from a World War I training video where they were training horses to stand around like a battle armory and stuff like that to train them to go into battle. So at the beginning of the show that you hear, it talks about the farrier, the saddler, and all that, and how they train these horses to stand around and to go into battle and not be afraid of the rifles and guns and stuff. So they have to kind of just, it's very primitive. Put the horse next to the cannon. So, but yeah. All right, we're going to take a quick little break, and when we come back, we'll wrap it up of what we learned today. So stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back. Get everyone situated back again.
Sorry.
Got excited. You comfortable?
I am. Okay. Yep. That thing's heavy. You don't realize how heavy it is.
By the time you had 2 guns and you had your
Put the ammo in there.
Ammo in there, you had some more weight.
Yep. And, they do rifle, and there's also shotgun. There's rifle and shotgun courses too.
Every single one of them. That's why I was like, I'm good at darts.
And,
grew up in pubs playing darts. Can I just throw darts at them?
And I'm slow. I mean, like the good people, like that run you saw me do at 17 seconds. Somebody who's a pro is doing that run in 10 seconds. So.
And that's your horse that you have.
That is my horse. Yep.
And what's your horsey's name?
Her name is, we call her Miss P. Her real name is Linda. Flint Rock. I think it's Flint Rock Linda. Yeah, she's a good soul. She's a very good soul.
Yes,
she kind of got pulled out of a pasture and just started, doing that. The guy that introduced me to that horse said, I think she'll be a good all-around horse. She can trail ride. She can, do the balloons. The kids can get on her. She's a trooper. She's a good girl. So
no outstanding things wrong with her that you have or dealing with or anything. Just anything. I mean, I'm not to get in your personal business, but I mean, I know our Dominique, the one. I don't know if you saw our horses out there. The one mare that we have out there, she's got like a little bit of I don't know. Mike tells me every time and I forget. It's like a pinched nerve.
Something in her neck.
Yeah, something in her neck. She's got a little.
She have some cervical vertebral problem or something?
Yeah, you can say those big words. We're not qualified for that.
She's got a certificate for cerebral is what she's got. Yeah, she's got one of those.
I would say, Mike, she's probably she's got the one foot it's not uncommon for horses to have 2 different feet.
And this is your horse, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And so she's got one foot that's a little more upright than the others, and we use a breakover shoe on her because she likes to get she'll get long, and then I'll notice she'll stumble.
The shoe that's on her has that inner rim,
right,
which allows your medial lateral rotation in the ground, but it also, when you get to that position, it gives you a little bit of bite.
Right.
And then we brought her angles up a little bit in the back end.
Right. Yep. Yeah, when we decided to, when I bought her, she was barefoot, but since she was going to do a different job, she kind of was just a pasture pet, used a little bit just every now and then. But the late great Sam Helms, who was the one that taught me about mounted shooting, he thought she would be able to do for me, and she's done great. Again, I'm definitely not a professional at it, just doing it for fun. So there's 6 levels in mounted shooting. So I'm just at the level 1, but the pro people, the people that are doing it for a living, are up there at the level 6s. So
I think of the one that when you say pro levels, I'm thinking of the one at like medieval times or something like that. That's the pro. I made it to the pros, baby, a million times. All right, we're gonna come back and we're gonna wrap up the show. We're gonna talk. I'm gonna give almost like a rapid fire. What did we learn today? Michael, go. I don't know. What did we learn today? Don't forget to do that.
Okay.
I'm gonna say. What do we mean by subclinical laminitis? Both of you will kind of chit-chat back and forth about that, a minute to 2 minutes long. What do we mean by lameness as it relates to the Western performance, particularly in mounted shooting, and the difference between English? You guys can chit-chat about that a little bit. And then overall general mounted shooting, guns, patterns, general rules, and anything that you might have missed or you want to add. And then don't forget my cue is where can everyone find you? And then just kind of spill your guts as far as that if you want to do any of that, okay? Kristie?
All right.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry. I know. I'm looking at the screen. Mike, you ready?
Yes, I am.
Kristie, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. Get your cans ready, Mike.
I got my cans.
Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine, brought to you by Equine One. Protect, prevent, and maintain. 100% natural. Farrier recommended, especially Mike Stine will recommend this to you. He uses it on his truck. He uses it regularly on his truck with your horses, and he recommends it for your horses as well. Now, if you want to get this right now, you don't want to pay full price, by all means, go over to equine.one. That's equine.one. Put in the keyword podcast, and you can get the natural hoof dressing and also the natural hoof mender putty for 10% off. All your hoof care needs is found at equine.one.
They can use that code indefinitely to get it from them at 10% off.
Well, very good. Thank you very much, Mike. And over my far right-hand side is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis. How are you?
Doing all right. And joining us here in the studio, the one, the only balloon killer herself. Very impressive, by the way, Kristie Shupe. Thank you for joining us here in the studio.
It's a pleasure.
And not only do you shoot balloons on a horse running at top speed and stuff, and you do a little veterinary medicine or something. You know, a little something on the side. Or, no, that's actually your profession. So, what do we learn today, Mike?
What did we learn?
Well, we're going to talk about, or what we learn is, what do we mean when we talk about the subclinical laminitis and the metabolic issues, which is easy for you guys to say.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the horse that is the fat horse, or the horse with Cushing's disease that has the endocrine problems or and metabolic problems, that has this, they'll have the low grade founder or laminitis issues where they'll be sore and they'll have an issue, and that the owner doesn't recognize it for what it is.
Right.
They'll just say they're just a little bit sore, but probably in reality what's going on is that those horses are having stress on the lamina.
It's kind of like one thing I've always heard.
Bring my little.
Is the
oh yeah, she's got a little. If you're watching this on the YouTube video, she's got a little
losing.
So here's the inside of what the horse is. Yeah, can they see that?
Yep, I can see it. Yep.
Foot now, and the lamina are just little soft tissue structures that are sitting there.
And you lose one little structure, and you lose another little structure.
And so if I'm trying to do this.
You're right.
But you have these structures that are sitting. This is the bone itself here. And the lamina are sitting on this, and then they're sitting on the back side of this hoof wall. So you can see where the hoof wall is here. Is this?
Yeah, I can see it.
Trying to do, okay. So, and what they're doing is laminitis just means inflammation of, and the structure is lamina. But what those things do is they interdigitate like this.
Like Velcro.
Yes, they're like this. And so when you have this kind of sort of low-grade laminitis, these things, instead of just completely dying, okay, they're just sort of stretching just a little bit. You're breaking just slowly. And then when the horse does this enough, then you see...
Then the Velcro pulls apart, and there we go.
Yes, and so, but the way these creatures were made is that's what's actually holding, those lamina are around the whole side of that hoof. Okay, the back side of it, and they're around the whole part of the coffin bone sitting here. And that's what's actually holding that foot in place. So then when those lamina, and enough of them die or they get damaged, what you have happen is you see, we gotta bring this thing up here again. All right.
Sorry about the bad camera angle.
Sorry.
There you go.
And so then you have the deep digital flexor tendon, which attaches down here to the bottom. I'm doing this backwards.
It's
sorry.
okay.
And so it attaches down here, and then that's what's pulling. So that pulls, so the physics of it, when you don't have any opposing force on the front of the hoof wall, that tendon then pulls it, and that's how you get the rotation.
It's amazing. All those little things hold up that big old horse.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
And also, what do we mean by lameness as it relates to the Western performance, particularly about the mounting shooting and the shoeing difference between English and Western styles, Mike?
Well, there are some different demands because of with the Western horse, you're going to have quick acceleration, quick stops, and quick turns. And so the demands on the farrier are different. And also you're dealing with a much smaller foot. And, when these guys accelerate hard, they're putting a tremendous amount of force to the ground. And people don't think about the stop. But, you got to get them where they're not coming in and toe stabbing on that stop, or you got a problem.
Right. And the foot, the pounding, when you have that long... You have the long
axis.
toe. Yeah, when you get the long toe, you get the underrun heel that is so common in the quarter horse, causes them the foot problems. And then when you're trying to twist and turn and move back and forth, that causes you a problem. And then hocks. The hocks,
Right.
Hock arthritis would be another one that you would see on the hind end from that kind of turning.
And the overview of Kristie doing the mounted shooting, the guns used, patterns, and general rules. And are you and what's your end goal? Is this just like a fun thing for you, or is this like I want to be competition? I want to get to the next level.
This is fun for me. I live two children and veterinary medicine. And I play the piano on the side too.
Do you really? Good for you. Look at you.
So I have
Multi-talented individual.
I have a busy life. So just for me, it's just for fun.
If you could get a piano on the horse while you're shooting balloons,
that would be good.
and playing basketball, that'd be the next sport right there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just the general rules. So it's timed, obviously. So whoever shoots the most balloons at the fastest time is going to win.
Now, are there style points or anything like that? Because I asked my wife about the cross country. Do they care about the gallop and the gait and the style?
No.
So it's just get it done.
Right, get it done, and then if you go off pattern, there's a procedural violation. If you don't go through something that's considered a gait, and by the way, we talk about this being similar to barrel racing, but not really. I mean, you do turn a barrel usually. Sometimes you might, but the patterns, there's like 80 some different patterns that you have to learn.
You have to follow those patterns. You can't just do willy-nilly like I'm going down the left side and come back down the right side and I'm done.
It depends. So, it depends on the pattern. You could start something from the left if you wanted to, as long as you get your 5 random balloons first and then you have the rundown.
So it's not necessarily like a dressage pattern where they go from A to L to K to M.
No, and there's a great book, Sam Helms, and again, the late Sam passed away tragically years ago, but he has a great book, the one that I'll use, where it goes through and shows you, okay, what's the fastest way to run this particular pattern. If you miss a balloon, it's a 5-second penalty. If you were to drop your firearm, you would get an automatic 60. That has happened to me in practice.
And those guns that you use are 45s?
Yes, and single. It's a single action. Yep, and they're also just they do shotgun patterns. Okay, and there's also rifles. Okay, and in those you still are shooting your first 5 balloons with your pistol, and then your last 5 would be with either a rifle or a shotgun.
Wow.
Yeah.
So where can our listeners, if they want to get a hold of you and learn more about you, whether it be the doctor of veterinary medicine, or if they want to know a little bit more about mounted shooting, cowboy mounted shooting, how can they find you?
Yes. So I am doing part-time work at Rocky River Veterinary Clinic.
Which is located where?
And it's in Kannapolis, North Carolina.
Okay.
Yep. And so they can, if you Google it up there, you can definitely see Rocky River. I do have a personal email, and it's knpierce and then cowgirl@hotmail.com. If they're interested in just the mounted shooting itself, CMSA, so Cowboy Mounted Shooting Association, they have their own website. It's great. There's actually going to be a competition coming up in Lumberton. I think it's the Mid-Atlantic Regionals done by Double L Bar Shooters. They have a great web page. Elizabeth Collette in South Carolina. She's a professional. It's a Lady 6, and she's great. She has Double E Performance horses. She's close to Clemson, I believe. I can't remember the exact town, but she's. Those are the great resources for mounted shooting.
Well, we'd like to thank Kristie Shupe, Shupe, for joining us here on This Week on Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. If you'd like to get a hold of Mike Stine, the way you do that is go to equinedynamics.com. At the top of the page says Contact Us. Make sure you put a physical address in there, and we'll send you out some free swag, some stickers, some magnets, some keychains and stuff. And if you'd like this podcast to perform at your clinic, your location, or any special event you got going on, we can do this exact same show right at your location. Just give Mike Stine a holler by going to equinedynamics.com. At the top of the page says clinics. Fill that out as well, and we'll pencil you in. And this will be, Mike, this is the end of season 9. This is episode 12.
Did you think we would make it this long?
Yes, I did, Mike. I had all faith in you. So what we're going to do now, we're going to take 2 weeks off, gather our thoughts. We're going to schedule a whole bunch of new guests to come in, new live appearances and whatnot. So make sure you stick around for season 10. So if you haven't got caught up on all the past seasons, now's your chance to do that now, is go back through all and listen back to all the other podcasts or all the other shows we had up from season 1 all the way to season 9, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. On behalf of Mike Stine over there,
have a good day with your ponies.
And we'd like to thank Kristie Shupe for joining us here in the studio.
Thank you.
My name is Travis saying see you in 2 weeks.
Hi, Lucky. Good night, Ned. Hi, Dusty. Good night, Ned.
Okay,
Good night,
clear.
Ned.
Cameras are still rolling, by the way.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, you're good. No. You're perfectly fine. Don't apologize for any of that.
Thank you very much.
Hopefully it was okay.
It was good.